supposed to learn how to put your mind at ease, and we did a very nice job last night. We had a lot of laughters, we had a lot of sharing, and we walked through that with each other through all their sadness and their grief, and we lifted each other, and we had good company, and so those are things that, and that's why they said, have a good night, have a good evening. Because when we talk in those words, we always remind our people, remind each other to have a good sleep. And when the nighttime comes, we are to take that, clear ourselves, and get ourselves ready for another chapter in our lives. How many look at that as going to sleep, as looking at another chapter in their lives? This is a time when you're not connected to the outside world. You're not connected here, you don't have headphones in, you don't have your eyes occupied by technology. You're in that place. You have put your phones, you have put everything aside. And so that now the ancestors, they've been trying, but they can't get through. And so they find that when you are sleeping, that they can come and they can speak to you. Your grandmas, your grandpas, all those loved ones that have journeyed on, they can always come back and visit you, to help you, to give an understanding. And so many of us have these dreams, and so my dreams have always played a very important role in my life. And I always look forward. It's just like, okay, I'm ready. And as soon as I'm ready, so I can lay my head on the pillow and I'm gone like that. Because I'm ready. And that's what you have to tell yourself. Because if you tell yourself you can't sleep, by gosh, your body will say, oh, she doesn't want to go to bed. I'll keep her up. And so we miss out on all those chapters, on all those information. So when you tell yourself you can't sleep, you're denying yourself a great journey. And so in my journey, in that journey, I was taken back a long time ago. It was in a longhouse, and it was fall. Because I could smell the leaves, I could smell the coolness, I could smell the harvest, I could smell the ground, and I knew it what time of year it was. I knew it was after supper, and I knew it was just before we go to sleep. And everybody the younger ones were looking from the top and looking down, and the older ones were standing around the fire, and the older ones were talking, and they were speaking in the language, and by golly, I could understand them. I knew everything they were saying, and I was wow. I was listening, and they were talking, and I was a part of them. And when they were talking, they were drawing symbols. They were making symbols on the ground. And then they turned and they went, and they called my name. And when you have all these the knowledgeable people in front of you, you don't want to, you kind of want to hide them. Everybody, you don't want to come forward. And then, but I think Gail was there and she pushed me. She pushed me up there. So I'm going, and it must have been all of you too, just kind of. And so I get up there and they're drawing and they're talking to me and everything, and they're doing all this and they're talking to me, and they told me that not to worry, that because I questioned them, and I apologized right away because I questioned them, but I said, how can I get this done? And they told me that there will be those that will come, that will want to listen, and they will help me. They will be younger then, and they can do that. They can help me. So I woke up 4 o'clock in the morning, just after they said, you will get that help. And poof, I was back. And so I started to write. But before I wrote, I drew pictures. I drew symbols. And so when I seen those symbols, it would help me to remember, because those are memory aids. And when you see symbols, you're to write them down or draw them. And so those symbols came, and it was the teachings, because they said, their grandmothers are saying, enough of our children suffering, enough. And you must show them their instructions again, and you must give them that understanding of their lives, because the men have forgotten and the women have forgotten. And so the children will, and the grandmothers are heavy in heart, because we have, too much has happened. We've forgotten how to live according to the moon. And so I put it all down, but with the first one I put it on, I went and got a bigger, I said, I need to put this in a message so I can take it. And of course, what do they call those full
Easel?
sheets?
The poster board.
Not poster boards.
Easel?
Flip charts.
Oh, flip chart, yeah.
Oh, I just happen to have some.
Of course.
So I started drawing, and then the first one I did was, I did this one. And that means the last quarter, and I was going, oh no, I was going to rip it. And it was like, no. And that's when they said, and now, this is the last, no more, no more. We don't want to see our children in that place of not caring enough. And so they said, this is how you will teach them. You will show them the last quarter. What are we in?
Last quarter. It's new moon in a couple days.
The new moon is coming.
Thursday.
So it's,
The 19th.
grandmother already had this already lined up, that this is what's going to be. And so they showed me all these things, and every time I did that symbol, words just flew out of my hand, and it just went like this, and I kept doing it. And I was amazed at what they call it, intuitive writing now. And I thought it was spirit writing. So what was happening was it unfolded all these things. And so when I was doing moon ceremony, I got, next thing you know, I would say in a couple of days, the phone rang. Can you do us the moon ceremony? Okay, all right. Then I tell them, I said, I need to go early so I can explain before we do the ceremony. You want to know why we do the ceremony, so I have to tell you why. The grandmothers are saying enough's enough. And a lot of people, especially the men will say, that's not ours, that's not ours, that's the woman's teaching. And because I worked at a treatment center, I had a resistance from the men, because they were told that's not theirs. And I said, well, your grandma said, you are her grandson and you need to know this information. And because you don't know this information, that's why you have a lot of sadness. That's why your relationships are breaking up. That's why you're not understanding life, is because you walked away from your understanding from her. And so I did the teachings, and from there it was heard, the word went out, and next thing you know, I got a call from Brock University if I would come in and do a teaching on the moon. And see how things, it's just like boom, 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 boom. You just got to be there, and you got the information, now you got to go, because you got all these dates set up. And so I went there, and I was telling sharing what inspired. And after it was over, a young woman came to me and said, I want to work with you. And it was, everything was rushing at me, and I was just like emotional, because